Hey, everybody. I see I'm going to get longer every week. It is Sunday, March 19th, 2023, and you are listening to Black Box Signal, a podcast on this thing called the internet about these things called video games. I am your host, Chase Johnson, and I am always joined by the Spock to my Picard, as we talked about last week, because we don't like Captain Kirk, Brandon Gaston. How's it going?
How's it going?
It blurred your hand out.
I know, right? Tried to do the Spock thing and it blurred. It was like, nah, bro.
Yeah. So yeah, it's what's been going on in your household this week? Like random stuff.
You know, we've had lots of cool stuff going on here. Actually, it's been a real kind of down week, honestly. I took my son to a birthday party over the weekend, so that was kind of cool.
So I took my daughter to one today, which is why we're doing this later. She went to the skating rink, the local skating rink for the first time. So she had fun with that. She was terrified at first because it was her first time, but she got through it. And I'm sore as hell now because my wife doesn't skate. So guess who was out on the floor with her?
Oh my Lord, yes, dude. I went skating with the kids probably like, I don't know, 5 years ago, and dude, my calves were on fire.
Well,
bro.
dude, and what sucked too was like I didn't plan on like going out there with her necessarily, and like we were lucky that a bunch of kids didn't a couple kids didn't show up, so we were able to like just use their vouchers that their friend already paid for, but like I had to use the roller skates, which I'm more of a rollerblader. And I had to rent. So I mean, I made it work, but like I was like, oh, like the turning radius on these suck. Like I can't turn as fast. I can't turn as sharp.
I found out I can still skate backwards in rollerblades still.
Ooh, yeah, I can too.
Ooh, yeah.
Let's see. I could still 360. I could still fakie 360. I could still go up and down half pipes. Like,
oh man, look at you go.
Yeah. The only thing I was never good at was grinding. I couldn't grind, but man, could I catch
really?
snare.
Oh man, I love.
I can stall really well because being on a half pipe. But yeah. Get me on some ramps.
Eli went to a party at Zap Zone, which is like I would say it's a laser tag place, but it's got like everything now. It's got like a jump zone, all sorts of stuff. So he had a blast. And him and his little buddies got all excited at the end because they have instead of like coins now, they give you like a little almost like a credit card.
Like a card, yeah.
Yep. And that keeps all your tickets on there and your tokens or whatever. And they got all excited because they were like, oh my God, let's play Space Invaders. And I'm thinking like, okay, your guys are hyped over
Space Invaders is the shit. I have You saw, I have Space Invaders for the Atari.
I was more of a Galaga guy myself.
Well, I mean, yeah, Galaga is awesome too, and I'd say better than Space Invaders. But I mean, don't knock Space Invaders. I mean, Space Invaders.
That's because that was the only arcade machine at Sammy's when Sammy's was still around, and I used to get down on some fucking Galaga all day.
I remember when Galaga was the loading screen for Tekken 1.
Oh yeah.
Like while it was loading, you could play a couple rounds of Galaga. You know?
Oh man, jeez, the good old days.
Well, it's been pretty uneventful in this household. I blew out a tire. I lost my debit card, and yeah, it's been a pretty good week.
You lost your card? I didn't know that. I knew about the tire.
Yeah. The day that I went to go pay for the tires, I lost my debit card. Yep. And in true fashion, my wife hasn't let me live it down.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, love you, sweetie, but leave it alone. We canceled the card.
Dude.
We're good. Nothing got stolen.
That tire was pretty serious. I took a look at that when I dropped you off, and man, whew.
So I don't know how the rest of the United States is. I'm not going to judge, but here in Michigan, the roads suck, and it doesn't matter who's in office. Michigan political minute here. Doesn't matter who's in office, what party, they always say they're going to prioritize fixing the roads, and they never
fix the damn roads.
We've been hearing that since we were fucking kids. Like,
yeah, no shit.
Yeah. So, hit a pothole. It actually dented the rim, but they were able to, because I have stainless steel rims, thank God for having an older car, they were able to pound the dent out, and I was good on that front. So, Yeah, so
Nice.
I just went ahead and replaced all the tires because that's like the second flat that I've had in like less than a month. So, um, yeah. Uh, so what have you been? I know we both haven't had too much of a chance to play tons of stuff this week, but I managed to get a little bit of stuff in. What did you get in this week?
So I decided to do. We did just a little short, like 1 hour stream the other day. Um, and we decided to play some Dead by Daylight because I haven't played that in forever, and my daughter's been begging me to play it. And I noticed, so they had a huge update that I had to freaking sit there and wait for it to install, and all that other BS. But so I knew they had a new killer out, but I didn't realize it was like a huge install or whatever. It really wasn't that big. I mean, let's be serious. It was like a 10-minute download. But they changed a lot of they changed some like core gameplay stuff that I kind of thought was interesting that I didn't initially pick up on the first couple of games. So like now you can see like any one of the survivors when they're on a generator, it shows that they're fixing a generator and it shows like a little circle around it to show their progress, which I swear to God was not there before. So that was kind of interesting that they decided to show you everybody's progress. And I was watching a stream earlier of a guy playing as a killer, and there was some icon stuff over there that I didn't really recognize before too. So it looks like they've implemented some changes and things like that. So that's kind of interesting.
Who did they add to the game? I'm sorry if you said that already, but
Oh,
I missed it.
no, I didn't. So they added what the hell is it called? Oh, the Skull Merchant is what it is. It looks like a miss to me. Essentially, it's like she's kind of reminds me of like Saw, right? She's like a trap kind of person, but instead she's got little droids, like security droids she can send up, but they can only go to certain pre-programmed positions on the map. So like if you send it up somewhere, it's not going to necessarily stay where you send it up. It'll move to the closest pinpoint. Right. I don't know. It looked a little lackluster. It's her whatchamacallit, her Mori, like the finishing move, is boring. It's super basic. Just like basically she's just like, oh, stabs him in the back and that's it. Like it's nothing spectacular compared to some of the other ones where like Wesker like sends the virus arm out and like,
right,
goes in all their like eyes and nose and like strangles them to death, Other than that, we did Walls of Jericho, my Gloomhaven group did meet today. We finished out this mission. We're pretty sure it's one that the two of our members played in the actual like tabletop version of it. So that was pretty cool. I did not think we were going to live through that. One of our people was like 4 cards left, and the whole way to beat the scenario was everybody had to get to these like the exit, and you had to either exhaust on the exit or everybody be on the exit at the end. But either way, you could not. That was the only way you like, no matter how many enemies you killed or whatever, it didn't matter. You all have to end up on these green tiles at the end. And our buddy was like down to like 4 cards left. So he was about to exhaust. And we're like, dude, there's no way we're going to get through this. And somehow we fucking squeaked by. So I was pretty friggin' stoked for that. Leveled up, so I got to pick a new card, got some new perks. So yeah, it was pretty exciting. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Nice. And then you're going to be picking up. I know we might have mentioned this on the last podcast, but just to give everybody a heads up, you're going to be picking up. Are you going to be picking up RE4 for sure?
Oh, for sure.
100%.
I don't care.
Yep.
I will go negative in my bank account if I have to pick that up. I decided I'm not gonna get the like whatever you call it, the premium edition.
Right.
That's honestly, it's like 2 extra weapons, and some skins or whatever. So I don't really care. So I'm just gonna pick up the standard digital version probably.
All right, cool. And I played a little bit more of like a Dragon Ishin. I know I didn't get super heavy into like what that game like is lastly like mechanically, but or where it's set, mid-century Japan, 1860s. I kind of covered that, but just to go along with the story, you play as Sakamoto Ryoma, and you are trying to um basically take down the Bakufu, which is basically the Western term, or their actual term for the shogunate. So it's right at the fall, like it's like pre-Meiji era, because Meiji era was when the emperor was reinstalled or had more power again instead of the shogunate. Um, so that's
Yeah.
kind of like where you are in Japanese history. And you have now taken on the name Saito Hajime and are getting ready to infiltrate the Shinsengumi, because you have determined that
Shinsengumi, baby.
the
Yeah.
Shinsengumi is where your father's killer, like, he's got to be in the Shinsengumi. That's kind of the big thing.
The
And
revenge plot.
yeah, the revenge plot. And where I'm at in the story right now, like, the brother still wants to kind of like overthrow the government and stuff, and all you care about is the revenge. So kind of like, okay, but it's still really interesting so far. The fighting is super cool. I'm like having a lot of fun with it. I like running around, Kyoto or Kyo, which was what it was called at the time, like an old version of it. So that's pretty cool. But that's
Correct
kind of
me,
what.
correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't the Meiji era, wasn't that when they started banning like people being able to carry swords and stuff
Right.
like that?
So this is right before
Okay.
that. Like, I think that
Okay.
was like 18. My Japanese history's escaping me, but it's after the 60s. So I want to say it's like early 70s, maybe even 80s. I don't know how long
Okay.
that period was. So that was the Meiji era, because this is, like I said, this is taking place in 67, 68, 1867, 1868. So, but yeah, that's all I've been playing, really. I know I said I was going to get a stream in it this weekend, and time got away from me with everything going on. So apologies. We'll try to get it in next weekend for sure. But other than that, this is going to be the big one. We're going to do time codes here to take up a good chunk of this first part of the episode. We finished The Last of Us show.
Yes, we did.
And I just finished it yesterday. But you finished it a while ago. Yeah. What do you kind of want to go into, like, our final thoughts? First of all, how did you feel about the episode?
I liked it. I'm not gonna knock it or anything. Like, I kind of, from playing the game, I kind of knew, or was hoping I knew what to expect from it.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I thought they did a good job with it. In my opinion, they stayed pretty true to the storyline. Obviously, me and you were kind of hoping a certain somebody would make an appearance, and kind of didn't really. So
Her dad did, but that's expected.
Mhm.
I feel these last few episodes have felt a little rushed, because I felt like they had to cram a lot into these last few episodes.
Sure, that's fair.
That's probably like my one complaint that I would have, is that now that I really look at the whole show as a whole, they really gave those first few episodes like their space, but that it was like, as these last couple episodes went, it's like, wow, they're trying to really cram a lot into these last few episodes. I did like how they captured from the big thing that they wanted to show in the game was how cold Joel could be.
Yes.
And I felt like the ending sequence, when he's going through and not even like giving people the option, like there's that one part where like the one guy literally sets his gun down and puts his hands up and he just kills him anyway.
Fucking shoots him anyways.
Doesn't matter. Or like the one dude where he was just like, where is she? And then he's like, I don't got time for this. Kills him. Or
Bane.
even
Yep.
how cold he was when he kills Marlene off. Like how they even, my wife, who is, not really into video games that much, but has been watching the show, even her by the end of it, who was like a huge Joel fan, even at the end of that was just like, whoa, dude, you didn't have to go this way about it, did you? And that was what the game was trying to accomplish originally. It was trying to tell you, in my opinion, that Joel's not necessarily a hero in this story. If anything, he's actually kind of a villain, because he doesn't make the decision for Ellie. He makes it strictly for him. And it's kind of what Marlene alluded to when she was like, the reason why you're not doing it right now is because she wouldn't make that decision. So, like I said, we're going to mark this, but, big spoilers, basically. to make the
Well,
vaccine, Ellie has to die. And
yeah.
Joel can't live with that. Joel can't let her go because the way that I look at it is he kind of damned humanity to have his second chance as a father. And you know, it's a hard decision for anybody to make, but it's like, everybody else is like, one life to save millions, you know. And Marlene kind of alluded to, Ellie would go through with it, even if she did know. Because that's what Marlene, I think she would, because I can't talk about it because then I'd be talking about Last of Us 2 spoilers. But the way that in the end of the episode, Ellie talks about, like, Riley was the first to die, then Tess, then this. Please tell me that everything at the hospital you told me was true. That tells me that she was, like, willing to go through whatever because so many people sacrificed themselves to get her there. And
Right.
like I said, Joel just did it, like, not for her, but for him because he couldn't deal with it. And I loved that they were able to get that across in the show. That was a big thing that I liked. Or especially in this final episode, that, Joel, it doesn't mean that Joel's like a straight up like evil person, but it kind of means that he's a little more selfish than we initially let on, and not in like a bad way, because, like, I mean, I would be conflicted with that choice too, and I don't know what I would do in that situation. I think it's trying to show that given that situation, somebody could make the quote unquote wrong choice for selfish reasons, even if they seem good.
I would agree that, yes, he's kind of, I would use the term more selfish than evil,
right,
per se. And this is a thing me and my mom discussed about the episode too, because I like bouncing the stuff off of her, because obviously me and you have already experienced it. This is all fresh and new for her, so having an outside view is interesting. And like I told her, like, being a father, like, I don't know if to say I would do anything different, than he did, per se. Because for one thing, they explicitly say, and I don't know if you caught on to it or not, but like they explicitly say that they're not even 100% sure that this would cure or make a vaccine, right? They just said, I think I can make one. Not
okay,
even,
I can see that argument.
I'm fairly positive or whatever. You know what I mean? It was just basically a real random shot in the dark. And to me, that's not enough. That is not enough. Like, I get where he came from. That father trying to protect his kid, even though technically she's not his real kid. I get the fatherly thing. Like, he didn't give anybody a chance because he knew that if he let them live, they would come for her. They would never stop coming from her.
Yeah.
And so
That part,
to me,
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Overall, I'd say the show was done pretty well. And yeah, this will probably be the last time we're talking about it for a little while now, because we not until the next season at least.
Yeah, that's
or
probably
if,
not until next year sometime, I assume.
yeah, or if they decide to make another game, that would probably get us talking about it again. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't really have anything else. So do you want to jump into the news?
Yeah.
All right. A little shorter one this week. Seems like it's getting a little shorter. We're getting too close to E3 time. We're getting in that window, which I know it doesn't seem like E3 is, that's in this early summer or, well, June-ish timeline. But this is getting kind of in that window where we're getting close. That that March, April window is pretty quiet, and then we kind of start seeing those rumblings around May. But we do have some new stuff here. This comes from Axios.com. Google sees a post-Stadia future in supporting live service games. And it looks like excuse me for a minute. It looks like that they're gonna try to like keep Stadia alive or use that talent to kind of go into like supporting like live service games, kind of like similar to Destiny or things like that need a cloud service. They're gonna provide that service, which I think is kind of a good idea, just because they won't get rid of all those people that work there. But excuse me, I don't really see. I don't know. I guess I don't want to make too big, say things too early, because a lot of games like Destiny kind of cover that and handle that themselves. But I could see them, helping some maybe bigger-ish games like some of these like Marvel live service games that have been kind of flopping in that department. Maybe they can come in and help. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I mean, these mod, I love that you bring up the Marvel games because God, yes, they have
Well, not
not
like
been
all of them.
good.
Like Spider-Man was good, but like
Right, right.
Marvel's Midnight Suns was kind of meh.
Yeah,
Marvel's Avengers was meh. Guardians of the Galaxies was actually okay, but that was like an outlier. Like the rest of them were kind of,
but
you know.
yeah, I'm with you though. Like if they can help some of these people out, I mean, why not?
And it kind of
We'll have to see.
yeah, it kind of keeps that team like around at least for a little while longer. I'm sure they're gonna have to slim
Hmm.
up, unfortunately, but at least keeps some of that investment that they invested in around. But this will probably be the last that we hear about Stadia, though. Like they're gonna probably fade into the background if they stick around, I think.
Yeah, because really you don't hear too much about them, period, anyways. So
Yeah. So remember when I said that I watched that Suicide Squad trailer that was part of, I think, of the Sony showcase that they had, the State of Play,
oh
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
like, it
yeah.
was kind of meh. Well, this comes via Kotaku. A report: Suicide Squad game delayed again after negative fan reaction. Uh, so I don't see exactly that. They said they want it to be a short delay and that it'll come out hopefully this year. But I don't. This game has been so far along in development. I don't see what you can do now to change fan reception around it. I don't know. What do you think?
Um, yeah, I mean, unless you revamp everything like they did with the Sonic movie franchise, where the internet basically was like, you either fix this or we're boycotting this shit.
But yeah, but here's
Um,
the thing: it's easier to fix assets in a movie that's been in development for like a year or two. It's a lot
yeah,
harder to do
versus yeah.
versus to fix a game that's been in development since Arkham Knight or
Well, yeah,
Arkham Knight. That's like how many years now? Like when was the last
you're
Batman
talking
game?
like yeah, you're talking like it is kind of apples to oranges because right, like a CGI character in a movie is probably a lot easier to change than rewriting whole lines of code for a game. So
Well, yeah, and
uh,
like everyone was saying that the gameplay didn't look glitchy or anything, but it looked boring. You're
yeah,
gonna overhaul that in a couple months? Like
yeah, I highly doubt it.
like I don't. If I was Rocksteady, I know they don't want to have a dud, considering that they've had nothing but wins, especially with like all the Batman games.
Well,
But
looks like they're taking an L.
if this game's gonna be an L, I would much rather just get it out the fucking door and just move on to the next thing, and just be like, you
Yeah,
know what,
I'm with you
like,
100%.
there's nothing we can do
100%.
to get this any farther. We can't recast voice actors. We can't.
Yeah.
I will say Samoa Joe is playing. What's the shark name? I'm not very versed in the Suicide Squad, but the shark guy,
Um,
whoever the shark guy is, Samoa Joe is playing him.
this is what we need Old Hickory for. He's the Batman guy.
Right,
He knows all those people.
right. But yeah, he's playing him. So I mean, that's kind of cool. Like, good on Samoa Joe. But what are you gonna do? Like, throw all his voice acting away, just like and
No.
start like that? And I don't know. I don't know. No, I just feel people are starting to feel the way that like me and you feel about just superhero fatigue in general. Doesn't matter if it's Marvel
Yes.
or DC. It's been done to
Mhm.
death, and unless you're bringing something super new and fresh, like I see the Wolverine game being good, the one that God, who's
Well,
it?
I mean,
Insomniac's
it's
working on, the same people behind the Spider-Man games. Um
it's Wolverine though.
yeah, and I could see, but it's also got a good pedigree behind it.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm Rocksteady. You would think would be able to knock anything out of the park with how they did the Batman games, and now they kind of have this dud like the Suicide Squad that is going to
Well,
just, But
I'm sorry. I've like, I hate to say it. Well, I don't hate to say it, but I'll get flagged for it. I'm not a Suicide Squad fan. I find it to be boring. It's not a very good group. I mean, you've got some interesting characters, but you're talking like 2 out of all of them. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know. If the source
Um,
material isn't there, it doesn't matter how much you polish a turd, bro. It's still turds.
I'm not a big DC guy, period. Outside of Batman. And I liked Green Lantern for a little while, but you know, that Ryan Reynolds movie completely killed that for
Oh
me.
God,
So,
yes. Ugh.
um,
I mean, that movie was great, fantastic.
I am more of I'm not even really a big Avengers guy. If I had to say anything when it comes to like superhero, like Marvel DC, I really like Spider-Man and I like the X-Men. Those are kind of like my two that I always go to. I like the Avengers and stuff? Yeah. I like Fantastic Four for one reason, and that's for Doctor Doom, which they shat on him in those movies too, because Doctor
Oh
Doom
my
is actually
God.
really fucking powerful if you look into it. But like he's my favorite villain outside of
Oh
like
yeah,
like
Doctor Doom's a
Doctor Doom's the shit, Magneto is
gangster.
the shit, and Apocalypse is the shit. Those are like my top three villains in my opinion. Yeah, it's not even a Spider-Man villain. I guess if I were to go Spider-Man villain, it'd probably be Venom, but yeah, or Carnage. But yeah, I'm so superheroed out. I mean, I'm looking forward to the second Spider-Man game because it's gonna have both Peter Parker and Miles Morales, and I think you're gonna be able to jump back and forth between the two. I'm excited for, like I said, the Wolverine game, but all these other games where you're playing like as these teams, they're just they're really boring to me right now. Like they don't seem like they're not Ultimate Alliance. Everybody's trying to trace that dragon that Ultimate Alliance was. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you're never going to be Ultimate Alliance. That's like
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I loved Ultimate Alliance, at least Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. I never got to play the third one. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah. So delay it all you want. I'd say get it the fuck out the door and
Yeah.
move on to your next thing. Maybe as much as you don't want to, maybe go back to Batman, see what you could do. Or, I mean, here's an idea. The rumor before the Suicide Squad game leaked was that they were working on a Superman game. Now, I don't like Superman. However,
Ooh.
if
Ooh.
Rocksteady was to do a Superman game and just narrow their focus,
Mm.
maybe they could do
Mm.
something good.
Mm.
But
No.
I would much rather them, but
No.
I'm just saying, I would much rather them see them take a crack at Superman than the Suicide Squad. Like,
Anytime anybody mentions a Superman game, I have like PTSD flashbacks to Superman
oh no,
64. It
Superman's
scares
oh
me to death.
god, dude, and the fact that like that cart was like what $120
Oh,
for that game.
God.
Was it something like
Ugh.
that? It was something ridiculous. I know
Yes.
that.
It still is, I think. I think it's outrageous, and it's like that game is so bad.
It's fucking
so bad.
garbage. But my point is, I think I would rather than go into something more narrow in scope and kind of get back to what made them. I know that sounds dumb. Like you want them to try something new, and then they try something new, and you're like, I want them to get back to what they're. But they don't have to go back to Batman. They could go. They could go do any pick somebody. Just pick somebody interesting that you could tell an interesting story with, and that you can have an interesting that you feel like you could have an interesting game around. That I guess that was more my point. Let's see. Next one comes well, it's kind of been all over Twitter. Which is why I'm probably going to quit watching this for a bit to save my dyslexic brain. The English dub cast was announced for the Nier Automata anime, and most of the cast, if not all of the, it looks like all of the cast outside of one character that is a different character in the show entirely, they're all reprising their roles from the game to do the dub in the anime. So I'm probably not gonna. I'm gonna quit watching that and wait for the dub to come out because it looks like it's gonna start like really soon here on Crunchyroll.
Guy dub.
I'm dyslexic. I'm dyslexic.
I don't care, bro.
Fuck you. That's not cool.
Take some anti-dyslexia pills or whatever.
There's no anti-dyslexia pills. Trust me. If I knew, grow up. Okay, yeah. Brain, quit being dyslexic. No, still dyslexic. Like I can't do anything about that. I'm not saying I can't do dubs or subs.
I'm gonna wait for the dub. Grow up, Peter Pan.
Oh, wow. Okay. Whatever. Wow. I didn't think we are going to be ableist on this podcast, but I guess we're going to be ableist on this podcast.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's cool though that they that it sounds like you said, they're getting the actual voice cast from the game. So that's freaking sweet.
Yep. Yep,
I
everybody's
can see
reprising the
where
rules.
you'd want to wait for that, to
Yeah,
be honest with you.
because the English dub in Nier Automata was really good. Like they had a
Mhm.
really solid cast. So, if
Yeah.
it and I'll be honest, because I am dyslexic, what happens a lot of the times is they'll be talking so fast that I'll literally have to pause it to catch up with the reading. I'll start off good, and then like I'll start to fall behind, and I'll have to like reread it. And so yeah, that's the only thing with like that's why
Or
I prefer dubs.
or you get the subtitles and they're on like a really light background, so they're
Right,
hard as shit to
right,
read sometimes.
yeah,
I hate that. That
right.
does get annoying.
So imagine if you're dyslexic on top of that. Like your brain is constantly just switching letters around and you're just trying it's the best way to describe it is like you're trying to read something while unscrambling it
Mm.
because it's already
That's
scrambling in your brain. So like so it slows you down. Like
that's me if I try to type and read something at the same time, like at work. I'll flip like two numbers around sometimes, and it's super annoying.
right. And that's why sometimes when I'm reading articles on this podcast, I start tripping over my words because my brain is flipping it all around. So I just think it's cool that that they're going to have a dub. I didn't even think they were going to do an English dub originally, because a lot of the Nier Automata or Nier, I would say all of Yoko Taro's side content in general hasn't been translated. He's got manga out there that connect to this universe. He's got 2 stage plays that connect to this universe that are really really good. And yeah, that it's cool to see that it actually is going to get an English dub because I didn't think it was going to happen. Next story comes from InsiderGaming.com. We got. Oh, were you going to say something else? You look like
No.
you're going to say. Okay. Looks like and this is kind of I rolled at this, and we were kind of talking this before the pod. Maybe that's where that eye roll came from.
Yes. Yep.
They reportedly that there is a PS5 Pro in development with a tentative release date of late 2024.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to start in on this, or do you want me to start in on this?
I will leave the floor to you, sir, because I feel like we're gonna have a lot of the
God.
same complaints here. Yeah, because this is gonna be a
Okay.
complaining section for sure.
So first off, we'll just start where I started at when we were talking earlier. For one, they are just finally now getting consoles, like just standard PS5 consoles, out into stores where people can buy them, and people are starting to actually get their hands on them. And now you're going to turn around and be like, oh yeah, we're going to launch a Pro version. I think this is a fucking terrible move on their part, in my opinion. 2, we don't really know exactly what the Pro version entails. So other than it's probably going to be an extra $200 on top of standard price like the PS4 Pro was.
I think price-wise, they would probably drop the price of the original and make it a discless version. Like, don't quit making the disc version. Drop the price of the discless version and then sell this Pro at least the same price, if not $550, because it's $550 for a normal PS5 with the disc drive everywhere else but the United States right now. So this would give them that excuse to bump up. But yeah, I see what you're saying though. Like, I think it's dumb because, like you said, they're just now catching up the supply issues now. Now, we're only kind of at the beginning-ish of 2023. So late 2024, okay, that gives you some time. But also the reason for the PS4 Pro last time around is because the PS4 and Xbox One came out, and then 4K TVs took off. And those were not 4K compatible. When they had the Pro model and the other version, what was it, the Xbox Series or the Xbox One X, they did that, and it was their 4K console. If you and I was looking at my PlayStation 5 box actually before the podcast, it says it can do 8K and up to 120 hertz. So it already kind of future-proofed, and nobody. And I'm sorry, I don't know anybody. I know tons of people that had 4K TVs when they got their first PS4. I don't know anybody that has an 8K TV right now. And you already have a box that's future-proofed. Already go to 8K. So what are you? I guess you could increase ray tracing performance because ray tracing is relatively new. But these current ones do ray tracing. They might not do it as well as, say, our Pro model, but they do it. And how much better can you? I don't know. I see that. I see the fact that 8K is not adopted. Hell, most people aren't even running anything higher than 60 hertz that are casual. And I don't think TVs go higher than 60 hertz. They don't go up to 120. And there's computer monitors that go up to 200. Like we play on monitors, but my monitor only goes up to 60. Most games only go up to 60. So I don't see the need for it right now. I don't see, especially with once you incorporate all those factors, I don't think the climate's the same.
Well, here's something else that I just thought about that I didn't think about earlier. So remember, I don't know when that was, if that was last week or a couple weeks back, but remember we were just discussing not too long back that they were talking about making PlayStations with the removable like hard drive. So
Or disk
you're
drive,
gonna
yeah.
make you're gonna make those, and then you're gonna make PS5 Pros on top of it. That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see, like, it's like it goes back, like I said, I don't see the climate being the same. Like I don't see it where you don't have that. I don't have a desire for a Pro right now. Where when I had a PS4 original, I was like, this thing could be a little bit more beefier. And then I got a PS4 Pro and it made sense. Right now, this PS5 that I have runs great. So unless you do like slim version, which is all I'd probably want because this box is fucking ugly as hell. But
it's just Perfect Cell's dome. Come on now.
Yeah, whatever. It's just a Wi-Fi router. Like, I mean, like a giant modem. But it's not the same, especially when you're already future proof. What is it going to be able to do 16K? Like, there's not even a 16K TV out yet. So what's the point? I feel like this is going to be a big L. Like,
like I was saying, it doesn't make sense to have like 4 or 5 different versions of the same thing. To me, that doesn't seem smart, like production wise, right? Because now you're having to divide your parts and your labor to make 3 or 4 different models. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like that seems like that, like you said, that's an L to me. Like,
yeah, especially like what you said too, when we're just catching up.
Too thin.
Yeah. Yep. Next story comes from Games Radar. It looks like the Ratchet and Clank game Rift Apart is getting a PC port soon. Which is pretty cool. I never played this Ratchet and Clank game, but I was always a fan of the series. I love those old PS2-ish era platformers. I personally
Jak and Daxter.
I like Jak and Daxter, but I really love Sly Cooper. Sly Cooper.
I didn't play Sly Cooper.
See, I didn't play much. I played more Sly Cooper than I played of Ratchet and Clank. And so looks like it was leaked though, so it's not like 100% confirmed. But that's kind of what all signs are pointing to. That's going to be the next PC port. So that's just smaller.
That'll be cool. People get to experience Ratchet and Clank that probably wouldn't because they don't play on console. Those games were fun. Like all 3 of those games you mentioned, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, they were all cool. Like just fun. Like you said, that era and genre, perfect.
Yeah. Next story. Microsoft says more Call of Duty deals with third parties will follow. This comes after Tuesday that the company announced that it had agreed to a 10-year deal with Boostroid to see that Xbox PC games being made available to the independent cloud gaming provider, which is I believe Boostroid is a cloud thing out of like a cloud gaming service out of Ukraine. But they just signed a 10-year deal with them. Microsoft is signing all these different deals, and I think we're just gonna say what everybody else is thinking. They're probably just trying to sign more of these deals to look good to the FTC, to Europe right now, because Sony's really been trying to gum up the works with this act. They're kind of the only ones at this point, if I'm being completely honest, trying to gum up this acquisition of Activision Blizzard. But it's working out for, like we said, last week that they're signing a deal with Nintendo, and now this cloud gaming service. I don't know. What do you think?
exactly what you said. I think it's just more of smoke and mirrors, like, oh, look at us, da da da, da. I
But
don't know,
but
a
like we
bunch of
kind of argued
bullshit.
too, like last week when Sony was kind of like accusing they
Yeah,
could make a bad version of Call of Duty. I was like, they're not gonna do that. That would be shooting themselves in the foot. Like
yeah, that would make no
so
sense.
like it's like Sony is trying to gum up the works and it's not working. And Microsoft, I'm sorry, they're just they're doing everything they can to make themselves look good. And I think I still think this merger is going to go through. At the end of the day,
Probably,
it's
I
gummed
wouldn't
up.
doubt it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't doubt it.
And kind of piggybacking on the edge of that from Video Games Chronicle. Both these come from Video Games Chronicle, by the way. Microsoft insists Game Pass prices will not increase as a result of the Activision merger. Now that was kind of a rumor going around that people are thinking, well, now that they're buying, Activision Blizzard and you got your World of Warcraft subscriptions and all that, are they going to
It's cool.
increase? Are they going to increase the price of
think
Game
they are.
Pass? But they're claiming that they won't, and I don't think they should.
okay.
I think it'll be smart if they don't.
It would be smart and fair if they didn't, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that one.
I don't know, because I feel like that again they're trying to do everything they can to look good, so and to basically shut Sony up, because like I said, Sony's the one that's really trying to gum up the works on this. So if they could present a case that this is what they're doing, it's gonna make them look good. And
Well, think about it, right? World of Warcraft is a monthly subscription game. So if they allow that on Game Pass, they're going to, they're going to increase the price to get extra revenue that would have been if you were just paying for a monthly subscription.
or they're just gonna
I
roll
can see
that,
that
or they're
happening.
just gonna find a way to roll that money to give Blizzard a kickback out of the
I
Game
don't
Pass
know.
share. So that's the
We'll
other
see.
thing I think.
Well, it's something we'll have to monitor for sure.
Yeah, I just think that if they're gonna do it, it ain't gonna come for a few years. But
No, I definitely don't think they'll do it right away, because that would be a huge mistake, because that would look not good on their part. For
Yep.
sure.
This next story comes from thegamer.com. We were kind of speculating about maybe we'll get another Switch release. But Nintendo America's president Doug Bowser says the Switch could have a few more years of life yet. Which, sure, I guess. But they have nothing new to announce, really, other than Metroid Prime 4. Maybe we get more this year around the Summer Games time. Maybe they got some like F-Zero. Give me an F-Zero. But but looks like at least another 2 or 3 years of the Switch, because I believe that the one thing I think Doug Bowser says here in this article, looks like the reason that the Switch still has a strong performance is that it's truly a unique device. Which, if you think about it, outside of like the Steam Deck that just started, kind of taking off and is doing pretty well, they're the only hybrid console right now that can do both console and handheld. So,
Right.
because they've kind of carved their own little section of the
Niche
market,
category.
that they can kind of weather the storm a little bit longer than, let's say, like your traditional console manufacturer. I don't know, though. I would like to see. I don't know. What do you think? And then I'll kind of go into what I think.
Well, I already told you earlier, like, I want them to just, I love the Switch. It's great. It's unique. I'm not going to, but like, I'm ready to move on. I want to see Nintendo come out with something that's like we've discussed before. When it was released, the Switch was underpowered anyways. Like, I want to see them bring something out, come out, boom, bring the balls out. We want to see something beefy. But at the same time, you can ask me all day, who rules the handheld world? Is Nintendo. It
Yeah.
always has been Nintendo. It always will be Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nobody else does handheld devices like Nintendo does. So I get where they're at too.
And I also think that, well, here's the stuff, and this is kind of like something that one of my other podcasts I listen to brings this up, so I'm going to kind of bring it in here. Do you think that instead of like getting a Switch 2, the Switch kind of becomes the new de facto, kind of like how the DS, they claimed that the DS, when it first launched, wasn't going to replace the Game Boy, and then it eventually replaced the Game Boy. Do you think that the Switch eventually becomes that more handheld device, and then they release, instead of a Switch 2, just a more traditional proper console?
I could see that.
What would you think if they did? Like, I don't
Be okay
think,
with that.
looking at their track record, I still think that if they went to a more powerful console, it's not going to be PS5 power. It's not going to be Xbox Series X powerful. Because if you really look at it, like the GameCube wasn't as powerful as the PS2, but it held its own against it. So I could see it being kind of there. And I don't know, that way, like, you would have those two pillars again. You'd have the Switch kind of being that hybrid console, and then your more beefier machine, your home only console. If they didn't do a Switch 2.
This is kind of how I see the Switch now that I'm thinking about it, right? So like back in the day, Nintendo was developing essentially two products, right? So you had like your Game Boy, and then you had like an adapter for your home console you would plug in that would let you play your handheld games on it. The Switch was the answer to that. It just combined both of those products into one. And that's what makes it great. It's so unique because you can play it on your TV, and then it's like, oh, I got to get up and go make some food or whatever. You just pick it up and go while you're going with it.
Also, on the flip side of that, it also kind of shackles it because you can only get so much power out of a handheld device.
Correct.
You can't like I mean, we both have like quote unquote gaming laptops, but we'll both tell you that a gaming PC full blown is gonna destroy both of our laptops.
Oh, take a dump on it any
day
of the week.
Yeah. It's like, so you're kind of shackled with how much power you can get out of it, which is why I've kind of like, I'd love to have a more powerful Switch, a Switch 2, but maybe we don't go that route. Maybe we just like say, hey, you've got your hybrid console and you've got your home experience. Or I don't know, in the second Switch, just put like this is so stupid because like eGPUs fell out, but put like an extra graphics chip in the dock. So when it's docked, you can give it a boost. Like, because the dock for the Switch right now doesn't give it much more power. It allows you to display it at 1080p instead of 720p on the screen, but that's about as much as you get. And that has more to deal with like the HDMI cable coming out of it. But yeah, I don't know. I would love to see Nintendo take a crack at a slightly more powerful console again. I think that would be cool.
Give me that oomph, just a little extra. You know what I mean?
And Doug Bowser also, and this is kind of piggybacking off that, but this comes from IGN. Doug Bowser says Tears of the Kingdom's $70 price reflects its full, deeply immersive experience. And this kind of, in my opinion, kind of goes back to what we were saying. You're making a face, but this kind of goes back to what we were saying is like $70. Like if God of War is going for $70 right now, if Horizon's going for $70 right now, why wouldn't Zelda, like one of your flagship games, even though it's on a quote unquote older device, why would it not go for $70? To kind of match that.
I just have to kind of laugh just because of the way it was worded, like due to the fully immersive experience. I'm not even sure what that even really means, but
well, I mean, let's face it, like it's not any cheaper to make a Legend of Zelda game than it is to make a God of War game. Yet God of War can get away with things sold for $70.
Okay.
So
I will
Nintendo's
give Bowser this. If they get rid of the weapon degradation, I will pay their extra $10 for the game.
Yeah, no shit. Oh my god, that was my big complaint about that game, is the weapon degradation. Yeah, if they did that, that would be awesome. But I don't know. At first I was kind of meh on it, but now I'm like, it makes sense. Like it isn't any cheaper to make that. Yeah. And it's there. If it was like a smaller franchise, I'd be like, what the fuck? But it's Zelda. Like
it's one of their main flagships, like you said.
Yeah. So I get it. I get where they're coming from. Next story comes from Video Games Chronicle. Sorry, Pokemon fans, but the Pokemon Company is looking to hire somebody with deep knowledge of the NFTs and the metaverse and the blockchain. Yay! They're getting into more people getting into fucking NFTs.
So they're hiring what's his face that just got let go
Oh,
from Final Fantasy?
well, no, because he got let go because he wasn't freaking pushing them enough. Like they wanted somebody that was gonna push it more. So I'm so fucking sick of NFTs and Bitcoin and all that shit. Like I don't know. What do you think?
Come on, man, that's the future. There's going to be no currency left other than that. Don't you know?
Yeah, a bunch more fake currency.
I don't understand any of that shit. Me and you have talked about that a million times at work. Like, I don't understand any of that crap.
It's digital Pokemon cards. NFTs are digital Pokemon cards or digital Beanie Babies. Just think of it like that. Like,
yeah, it's no.
Yeah,
I'm good.
It's dumb.
I'm good with that.
It's dumb. And the more and more companies, anytime a company I've seen, at least on Twitter, when Ubisoft announced they were doing NFTs, so much backlash. When Square Enix announced they were doing NFTs, so much backlash. And now Pokemon Company, I don't get why companies are still saying they want to get into NFTs. Like, I bet you their investors are trying to be like, oh, we need to get into NFTs. What's your NFT plan? But you're seeing all these other companies announce an NFT thing and all get shit on. Why would you continue to why are all these companies still being like, oh, well, the last 7 companies that announced that they were going to do NFTs, got shit on, but we're not going to, it's not going to happen to us. And then they get like, dude, I don't even, I have no words. I just don't understand. I don't get it. Maybe
give up on it. I give up,
Yeah.
I'm done with it. I'm so done with that stuff.
Yeah. I'm waiting for I don't know. I'm waiting for Sony and Microsoft to do it next, because it's just like they're gonna announce. I just feel like everybody's gonna do it, and everybody still thinks it's a good idea when it hasn't been a good idea from day one.
We're gonna create our own NFTs. It's gonna be called Black Box Coin, and we'll just sell those.
No, that's cryptocurrency. You use cryptocurrency. NFTs are worth a certain amount of cryptocurrency. So this fake art is worth a certain amount of fake money, is what it is.
Our money's fake anyways.
Well,
so
yeah,
we're not having that discussion.
Yeah, we wanted to start a political podcast. I mean, maybe someday. Next one comes from GameSpot. Metroid Zero Mission may be coming to Nintendo Switch Online along with the GBA link. And this was due to them finding leaked screenshots in the Japanese version of Metro Zero Mission, or of what was it? Metroid. It was left in the Metroid Fusion folder because I don't know if you remember, both those games could be linked. So maybe we'll be getting Zero Mission as well.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. This is kind of a smaller story. I didn't think we'd have much to say about that, but it's in there. The code's in there.
If people don't know, just as a real quick reference, Zero Mission was basically a reimagination of the first Metroid game, updated and a reimagining of it. I didn't play it myself, but I've seen speed runs of it, and it looks awesome. And if you ever played Fusion on the Game Boy Advance, similar style graphics and stuff, that game was chef's kiss.
Yeah, and it was specifically found in the Japanese version on the Nintendo in the Nintendo Switch app for the GBA. So I don't know if anybody is cracked to see if it's in the US version or the West version. But yeah, that'll
be interesting to see.
Yeah, this one took me a while to try to hunt down a confirmation. So this actually comes from Nintendo Life, but apparently was also kind of talked about at the Xbox Era podcast. It looks like that we might be getting a Soul Calibur remaster. And I don't know if it's going to be the collection. I don't know if it's going to be just Soul Calibur 2, or that's according to this article. They don't know if it's going to be Soul Calibur or just the first Soul Calibur, if it's going to be collection. But I don't know. What do you think of, getting more or remaster of the original Soul Calibur or Soul Calibur games?
Hyped, super hyped. I love Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur was probably, out of the fighting franchises, I would say probably Mortal Kombat was number 1 for me, followed by Soul Calibur. Like, I loved Soul Calibur, and I still do. I think it's a great game. So seeing some of those originals being updated, I'm all for that.
Yeah,
Heck
for
yeah.
sure. What I really liked Soul Calibur 2. That was like where I really got in. But I would love to go back and play Soul Calibur 1 because there's a lot of people that I know that are fans of the Soul Calibur series that are like that's their favorite one is actually the first one still. Because
Mhm.
it's so weird. Like Soul Calibur actually had a good story behind it, a lot of people said.
Yes.
Um
Yes, it did.
yeah, and just from me playing the second one and then I played 2, a lot of 2, a little bit of 3, and then what was the Star Wars one? Was that 4 or 5?
I want to say that was
I played a lot of
4.
4 then. There's one that like on Xbox you got Yoda and on PlayStation you got Vader, I think.
And then GameCube you got Link.
Oh no, that
Right?
that was in 2. I was talking
Oh, that
4.
was
In 2 it was Spawn was the Xbox version, Heihachi was the PlayStation version, and Link
description.
was
That's what it was. That's
yeah.
what. Yeah, it's just so much, dude. I can't
Right.
even keep track anymore. A lot.
Yeah. So I don't know, that'd be pretty cool. IO Interactive, this comes from Video Games Chronicle. IO Interactive says the next major Hitman game is on a little bit of hiatus. And that kind of doesn't surprise me because I don't know if you know this, but they've been working on a James Bond game. So
Oh, really?
yeah, they've been working on a James Bond game for a while. That was kind of like they were finishing up with Hitman. They had their teams kind of split. One team kind of finishing up like the updates with Hitman, which is now the Hitman trilogy is just called Hitman World of Assassination. It's all 3 games in one.
Oh,
So
okay.
so they're kind of like capping it off, kind of doing it like that. That's kind of like their swan song. And then they're going to be all hands on deck with James Bond. So that doesn't really surprise me. And ever since I heard of it, when someone told me that the guys behind the Hitman trilogy, this specific Hitman trilogy, which is really good, were working on a James Bond game, I was like, perfect. Like that's like the perfect team to take on a James Bond game, in my opinion.
It'll be interesting to see how they do it because I don't know if you've played any of the last few James Bond games through the past couple of eras. They have not been that great.
Okay,
to be honest
okay.
with you.
GoldenEye, everybody loves GoldenEye. Most of the other games are trash, but I had some validation from a few other podcasts that actually said this. Everything or Nothing, 007, Everything or Nothing on the Xbox, on the original Xbox, was actually really fucking good.
Really?
Really, really good. But outside of that, yeah, you're right. They haven't been.
I was
that
gonna say because like I remember watching someone on I want to say it was Agent Under Fire or something like that. Terrible.
Yeah,
Got
bad.
really
Bad.
bad ratings. So
Yeah. Everything or Nothing was good. GoldenEye was good, but like I said, this team being on it, I played a lot of those 3 Hitman games, and you're a perfect assassin / spy. You could easily pivot that to James Bond. Like you could probably put a James Bond skin on it with those Hitman command mechanics. Great.
right.
Like
Right.
that would be perfect. It's the perfect project for them. And you know what? I think it's cool that they're getting a little bit of a break from Hitman after doing Hitman since the beginning of the PlayStation 4 generation.
So here's my other thing. So traditionally the James Bond games have all been first person. So with you saying what you just said about them like basically reskinning it into James Bond, would you be more apt to see them try to go into the traditional first person or
No.
do that kind of third person Hitman take but for James Bond?
Third person. And actually Everything or
I
Nothing,
think so, too.
Everything
I
or
think
Nothing
that
what
would
we
be
were
cool.
talking about was third person.
Okay.
So it was pretty good. And just adding more a modern feel to that. I mean, thinking of all the different gadgets that James Bond has too, being able to use that in an environment of like having to like take out a target or something like that, or
Mhm.
infiltrate an area, seems pretty good to me. We'll have to see because we haven't actually seen a trailer for it yet. We just know they've been working on it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get something. I don't know. If it's not ready, I don't want to hear about it. But because I feel sometimes video games get announced too early, like they announce it and then it's like 6 years go
Yeah.
by and it's still not out. But if they got something to show, I'd be excited to see it.
Mhm.
Next story comes from Kotaku. Russian hackers threaten Ukrainian Stalker 2 devs. Is the long story short. We all know about everything going on with the war in Ukraine right now with Russia. Stalker is a game that is developed by a Ukrainian studio. I don't know if you're too familiar with the Stalker franchise, but it
I've
basically
heard of it in passing.
it's okay. So think of like an immersive sim like a BioShock or like even a Fallout ish, but it's set in Chernobyl.
Oh, okay.
So hence the term stalker, because the people who sneak into Chernobyl and stuff, like I try to go. That's what they're referred to as stalkers. Um, and those initial games were really good. And when Stalker 2 was announced, I was really excited, even though I know I probably wasn't going to play it because it's an Xbox exclusive. But I'll probably still try to pick it up on PC. But I mean, long story short, Russian hackers are threatening the Stalker dev team, which I think is fucking stupid. I don't know. What do you think? As he unmutes.
Sorry, my bad. I don't know. I mean, I didn't really play the game, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it.
I just think
But
it's a little silly because it's like these people making a video game have nothing to do with the fucking war. Like,
yes, that's silly. Just the idea of anybody holding any game company ransom or whatever is you're scum.
and like I
to
said, they're
begin
going
with.
as far as to like threaten developers. Like something bad's gonna happen to you. Like it's not just ransom. It's like, oh, we're threatening you now. And it's like
Yeah,
because
pathetic.
they're
That's
making a
what that is.
video game about Chernobyl and stuff like that, and they're probably gonna naturally have some like Soviet ties, in those
Yeah,
games because they have a lot of that in those games, obviously. But I mean, come on, it's not. It ain't that deep, my guys. Like they're just trying to make a game, and yeah, I don't know. Second to last story here.
sorry about that, kids.
Oh, you're good. So there was this game that came out last week, I think, called Bleak Faith, which is like a Souls like. But apparently, the game was accused of plagiarizing Elden Ring animations. They went on in this article to say that, they purchased these assets from the Unreal Store because we use Unreal Engine, and a lot of video games now use Unreal Engine. But yeah, they're going to basically patch the game to take those animations out. It's not a huge story, but I just found it a little interesting that, we got one side, claiming that, hey, you're blatantly plagiarizing our stuff, and the other side saying, hey, we purchased these on Epic's Game Store on Unreal Engine, which if you don't know anything about developing on Unreal Engine, you can, if you're like a younger, or not a younger, but like an earlier indie game developer, you can buy assets, like general assets from the asset store. Like, hey, let me buy a bunch of army dudes and guns, and like if you want to make like a shooter, or let me buy generic, medieval what have you, and then kind of tweak it myself to make it my own thing. So they're claiming that they purchased these assets from the Unreal Store. Epic is basically going around and being radio silent and be like, not our problem. Which I think is kind of shitty. And kind of leaving
we got paid. What do I care?
And so I don't know. What do you and Elden Ring, pretty big game to be kind of stealing stuff from.
Yeah, that was not a good idea.
So I don't know. I don't know if it was Archangel Studio at fault here, or if they're telling the truth. I don't know if Epic is the one telling the truth. I personally find it
like
maybe
a lot of he says, she says.
Right. All we know for sure is that Elden Ring was plagiarized straight up. Whether that was something involving Epic or not, we don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think about whole situation?
I think it's just my word versus your word, kind of. I mean, if they blatantly can tell that it was a blatant like plagiarism, there we go.
And they're saying it's specifically like combat animations. So
I mean, I guess plagiarism's bad to begin with, but I guess like that's not really, I guess, as severe as like taking a whole level or a world or a character. And I don't want to sound like I'm agreeing with that, but like obviously it could be something way worse. But again, I'm not agreeing with that stuff because that's stealing, and that's not cool. You know, these people work really hard on that game, and you're essentially stealing from them. So yeah,
Yeah. And from all that I hear, that the game is called Bleak Faith Forspoken. Aside from this controversy, is I guess a pretty decent game for being like a smaller studio that did it. It just sucks that they're getting mired with this right now because it's just going to kind of detract from their initial success because people will be like, oh, these are the guys that ripped off Elden Ring. And it says here specifically in this Kotaku article that Epic cannot verify the source of the animations, which is like, what do you mean you can't verify it? You can't say for sure if it did come from your store. You think you would know that, but
yeah, you would think you'd be able to tell.
Yeah, but who knows? Last story here, and this comes directly from the FTC.gov site. FTC has finalized from that case that we talked about when we said that. You remember, like, I think it was like early, like almost a month and a half ago now, when we were talking about how they were taking Epic to court over kind of like malicious money making tactics in the Fortnite store. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So it looks like we got a final order, and it's requiring Epic Games to pay $245 million, a $245 million fine. So, which, I mean, it's
Yeesh.
Epic. That's sounds like a lot of money, but also they make Fortnite, so it's kind of a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
But that was kind of, I just kind of wanted to follow up on that. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a lot of money, and I mean it is, but really to them it's just a drop in the swimming pool. I mean, like you said, they have Fortnite and they make gazillions of dollars off of that. So I don't think, 250 million is really going to hurt them that much. But with that being said, I mean, at least they are getting some sort of a punishment, I guess. I mean,
my only problem with this, and this is going to probably speak to the way that we handle this as a country as a whole, is like, seems like a lot of these things happen where it's like you get your hand caught in the cookie jar and then you pay a fine after you've made all your money. There's nothing really set to help prevent this from happening in the first place.
Yeah.
Instead, they make their billions and then pay a couple million, and it's like, well, sorry, but they've already made out like a bandit. So
yeah.
So like, really, in the grand scheme of things, it I mean, yes, at least they're doing something, but also at the same time,
yeah,
it would be cool if this was just stopped to begin with, instead of now all the, and they're not the only company that the FTC's gone after. This is just one of the biggest ones. But
it's like if somebody on the street were to pocket your wallet and all you had was $100 bill in it, right? And you get caught, but instead of giving you your $100 bill back, they just give you $10 back.
Right. I'd be like, sorry.
I'm sorry, and it's
and
fine.
We're good. Yeah. That's very much what
cool,
it is.
Bro. Don't worry about it.
But yeah. And that's all I have for the news this week. Unless you you usually don't have anything, but do you have anything else as far as news that you found throughout the week, or?
No, not really. Other than, my game's coming out on Friday.
Other than Resident Evil. Right. All right. Well, we officially got our first email. So if you'd like to write into us, that email is blackboxsignalpodcast@gmail.com. And this comes from Chelsea. Hi there. I had a question for you guys. If you could remake any video game from your childhood, let's say early 2000s or older, with today's technology, what game would you choose?
Oh my God.
And I would probably want to add to this, don't just say what would you choose. I want you to explain why you choose that game.
Oh my God. Oh, that is. Oh. Man.
And thank you, Chelsea, for writing in. Oh, also says love the podcast.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. All right, gun to the head, because since I don't have much time to think about it, I'm going to go with Chrono Trigger right off the Super Nintendo. The game's great already as it is, but seeing those, like that game get like the Final Fantasy VII remake, seeing HD versions of these characters that I love so much would be awesome. And it would be able to bring a game that I love near and dear to my heart to like a newer generation that probably would never play that because it's a Super Nintendo. It's got, 32-bit graphics, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, to me, it's a solid game, and they could just give it that Final Fantasy VII remake. But here's the thing, too, though. I don't know if you could really transition that game from turn-based to what they did with Final Fantasy VII. I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. I don't know. Either
Alright.
way, it would still be cool to see.
I had a slam dunk answer for me, but then I started thinking more and had a few floating around my head. And then I went back to my slam dunk answer. And I think if I had to pick one, and I feel like you know where I'm going with this, it would have to be Drakengard 1. It would have to be Drakengard 1. I didn't get to play all of it. If you all know, my favorite video game series is the Nier series, number one with a bullet, followed by Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts. Kind of, I'm not going to say one's better than the other. I'd say they're tied for second. But Nier is my favorite, and that game actually started as a sequel or a pseudo sequel to Drakengard. And Drakengard was a game that played a lot like a Muso style game, like your Dynasty Warriors and things like that. It didn't have the best
Dynasty Warriors.
It didn't have the best gameplay. You had a part where you played as Kaim on the ground, and then you played as the dragon in some aerial missions, and you could fly around and call the dragon. That was actually the best part of the gameplay, was the dragon gameplay. The story is dark as fuck, so I don't know. I like darker than Nier Automata, like really fucking dark and bleak, to where I don't know if some parts of it would translate in today's climate. I mean, it would translate, but would it fly? But I would love to do that, because that was a game that, because I didn't get into Nier till after that game, I would love to go back and play that. I played like half of it as a kid, and when I say half of it, I mean half of ending A, and didn't even get to ending E. So I would love to see that, but at the same time, like I could see why it wouldn't happen. But yeah, I'd say Drakengard would be the one for me, simply because like I could have picked a game that I played a million times, but a part of me was like, I never got to experience that game. So if it was one game that I could pick, it would be that one for me.
You know what though? Bushido Blade.
Okay, you know what? That could be the group answer. Bushido Blade. Bushido Blade. I was gonna say Bushido Blade 2, but Bushido Blade 1's also. Oh fuck!
Just bring that back up. You know,
Put a bolt in a collection.
I mean, since you're already giving us all these other great fighting games this year, just give us our Bushido Blade.
Yeah, definitely. I would totally go with another Bushido Blade. But yeah,
could you imagine that with today's? Oh,
dude, it'd be like Mortal Kombat levels.
Dude, that'd be so sick, dude. So sick.
Yeah, or if they just want to make a Bushido Blade 3 already, just fucking do it. Square Enix, release my child.
You're cowards. You're cowards.
You're right. Release it. Damn it. Wow, that probably just got really loud for a minute. Sorry, guys. But yeah, thank you for the email, Chelsea. Really appreciate it. And again, if you want to email us, that is blackboxsignalpodcast@gmail.com. You can write to us about anything. But yeah, what are you going to be getting into this week?
Well, Friday for sure, I am getting Resident Evil 4 Remake, and I am planning on doing a lengthier stream. So let me see, I get home usually 5:30ish our time, so probably try to spin up at 6, and we'll probably go to at least 9 or 10, if not later. So I'm trying to do like a lengthy stream of it, because we need to see my boy Leon in action for sure. And then other than that, I'm trying to go disc golfing this weekend, but I don't know. You know how Michigan is right now. It's so temperamental.
Right.
Oh, we'll give you sunshine. And then 2 seconds, like today, for example, or no, Saturday, sunshine, blizzard, sunshine, blizzard. It did that like 10 times yesterday. Like, make up your mind.
For sure. I totally get that. I plan on, I'm going to get that Like a Dragon Ishin streaming. because I know I said I was gonna do it this weekend and kind of ran out of time, but we're gonna get into that for sure. And that's my plan. But yeah, I'll be streaming that hopefully Saturday. That's kind of the plan. But yeah, that's been a podcast. Brandon, where can they find you at?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at EnrageMe with an H at the end, or on Twitch, twitch.tv/EnrageMe, also with an H at the end.
You can find me on Twitter at chasing_chase. Follow me on Twitch at /ChaseandChaseTV. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube at _BlackBoxSignal. You can follow us on Twitch at BlackBoxSignal. And again, even though we mentioned it already, you can email us at blackboxsignalpodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, we'll get back next week at our regularly scheduled time, me and Brandon as usual. And until then, as always, stay safe, comrades.